Good morning. I'm Jack Van Ryn, Mayor of the Town of Coaldale. I will be giving you an update from our regular council meeting that was held Monday, February 28th, 2022. And our first item of business was to request that council provide direction to administration on the council meeting location moving forward now that the restriction program, or referred to as the REP, has been lifted by the government of Alberta. So council spoke about moving back to the council chambers at the town office, and it was passed unanimously that we will be moving back on March 14th back to council chambers at the town office. And for me, it's important that we do, because at the hub we've had continuing problems with our internet connection, because we do not have fiber optic or high-speed internet at the hub, so that was causing us problems with our live streaming. And the other reason was that the hub is used only for council chambers, the big meeting room, and now that we're going to move back to council chambers at the town office, that'll free up that space for user groups that are looking for places to hold their programming events, and those types of spaces are hard to find in Coaldale, so that will help them out as well. Our next item that we discussed was that the following report is to present council with a draft public participation plan for the rebranding of the summer celebration event that was presented at the regular council meeting of November 22nd, 2021. So what's happening there is that we are moving our parade day, referred to as Settler Days, from July to August. It'll be held August the 6th, and it'll be bigger and better than what we had downtown or Main Street last August. That was referred to as Celebrate Maine. And we're going to be having the same event. We're going to have Coaldale Custom Cruisers Car Show. We're going to have live music from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. until the fireworks. Going to be hosting the pancake breakfast at the fire hall again. We're going to have Coaldale Kinsmen are going to have their beer garden. We're going to have a farmer's market. We're going to have an artisan show where artisans can display their crafts and sell them on Main Street as well. And it's going to go all the way down from down Main Street all the way past the fire hall. I'm sorry, just to the west side of the fire hall. So that'll give us a lot of room to have a fun day. So as part of that, we're going to be rebranding the event, and the proposed public participation plan is an essential first step in facilitating engagement with the broader community and providing insight into the community's values that surround Coaldale's community events. Events are essential to invoking community pride, animating public spaces, honoring history, building community, and delivering economic impact. As stated with the P2 plan, the overreaching goal of the rebranding is to develop a name for the event that accomplishes the following: reflects Coaldale and who we are, promotes inclusivity, provides economic and social benefit to our residents, and honors our past and history. The engagement will be facilitated in a phased approach consisting of an initial survey that will aid in identifying resident values and experiences at previous events that Coaldale should consider in the renaming process. Following the initial collection of feedback, staff will summarize the responses received and return to council at a later date to present, I should say, viable naming options. So that's going to be exciting coming up here, and we're going to involve the public in rebranding for our event coming up August the 6th. We then had a report regarding the West Coaldale draft public participation plan. So that's regarding a parcel of land that's just south of McDonald's and behind Home Hardware, where a private developer is going to be developing approximately 30 acres of residential land. And The purpose of this public participation plan is regarding the south of the commercial area consisting of the Coaldale Nursery, Home Hardware, and the Coaldale Christian Reformed Church. So again, just south of McDonald's, west of the Westgate subdivision and the stormwater pond. And there is an existing West Coaldale area structure plan that the development is subject to, which was most recently amended. And it's worth noting that the applicant is in the preliminary design stage and will be determining if any amendments to the area structure plan will be required. The subject matter of this report relates to the public participation plan prepared by the town of Coaldale to intake discussion with surrounding landowners and stakeholders identified within the plan. The town will be initiating the proposed engagement partnership with the primary landowner of the subject property. And we will, as part of that, the proposed alignment with existing West Coaldale area structure plan, which I mentioned, feedback collection from adjacent landowners and residents, and feedback on the future proposed development. The timeline, tools, and techniques that will be used during the engagement include an online survey for the public to share information about the project, to gather feedback on the initial thoughts. We're going to be having in-person meetings with our planning department that can be scheduled. And we're also going to be having an open house where residents can walk through and take a look at the project and have input as well. And that'll be set up with storyboards so you can walk through whether we have it at the community center or the town office and take a look at what's planned there. So that will be happening in March. We then had a presentation by Shelby Gibson regarding animal welfare and bylaws and responsible pet ownership. And Shelby gave an excellent presentation to council to discuss the stray dogs, cats in Coaldale. She also discussed revisiting our dog bylaw and what we can do to make things better for our pets in Coaldale. So a motion came out of that discussion that administration is going to come back with some ideas on how we can move forward with Shelby's input. We're going to have council representation, and we're also going to have citizen representation on a committee that we hope to be forming, and we'll also have representation from our community peace officers that look after the bylaw, that in turn look after stray dogs in Coaldale. So that'll be coming up within the next 2-3 months. Then we had a public hearing regarding a strip of land. It was just a housekeeping matter that needed to be done. And this strip of land is right beside the new waste water lagoons that we're building north of the current industrial park. So we opened up a public hearing just to go through the details and give an opportunity for anybody to speak for or against the proposed amendment. And there was nobody that was against it, so it was passed. We then had our CFO present on a tax penalty bylaw. And the tax penalty bylaw establishes the penalties that the town of Coaldale is able to charge for late payment of property taxes. Historically, there has been little change associated with this bylaw. However, additional leniency had been provided by town council in 2020 and 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And for 2022, administration is proposing that the bylaw be adjusted back to pre-COVID standards, and council voted in favor of doing that. Then we brought back a report that provided information related to bylaw 840-R-01-22 that was given first reading by council on January 24th. This bylaw, as drafted, permits the installation and operation of video lottery terminals, or VLTs, in the town of Coaldale. So that was brought back last night regarding second and third reading, and after much discussion, the motion to reinstate VLTs into Coaldale was passed by a vote of 5-2. So that was, it's been a long process, not only for this council, but for the previous two councils with the VLTs. So it's nice that this is done once and for all, so that we can move on to bigger and better things. Then we discussed the family fun run, and town council will be putting in a team, as well as town staff. And the intent of the presentation was to inform council and public at large about the upcoming 11th annual Coaldale 2022 Family Fun Run event, and request that council continue the tradition of supporting the event by paying $30 registration fee for council and staff willing to participate. So this is coming up on April 9th, 2022. So I'll have this agenda package in my comment section under my video, and please look it up, and there'll be a link where you can register either yourself individually as a family, or groups. So looking forward to doing that. Then we had a discussion with our CFO regarding providing council with the in-town busing agreement with Palliser Regional Schools for the 2022-2023 school year for approval. So this is regarding school passes for students that live 2.4 kilometers or closer to the school that they attend, where anybody that lives farther than 2.4 kilometers, Palliser looks after busing. But if you live under that, you're responsible to get to the school yourself, or there's bus passes available, and that's to provide safe passage for students to school in case they live on the north side of Coaldale, where they have to cross the highway to get to school. There's a bus that can pick them up. So previously they had 120 of these passes, and we raised it to 125. And that is where the students themselves, they have to pay, or the families have to pay $260 per pass, and then it's subsidized by the town of Coaldale. And we passed a motion to subsidize the 125 passes by $13,728 to provide safe passage to school for our students. Then we had a discussion about our safety fund request regarding accessibility audit estimates. So the report was to present council with a request to access additional funding from town safety fund, and to hire an accessibility consultant to provide estimates for the recommendations identified in the 2021 accessibility audit final report. So administration and some community members did a in-depth audit of town-owned facilities, and the purpose of the accessibility audit was to identify barriers to the full participation of persons of all abilities in the town's public buildings, selected streets and pathways, and suitable accessible parking spaces for the Coaldale and District Handy Ride Association. Since the presentation and publication of the report, an additional opportunity for an accessible solution to the town's dog park to allow for wheelchairs and older dogs was identified. And this last portion came about from a letter I received from a grade 6 student at St. Joseph's, that as part of their humanities class, they were doing a segment on the town of Coaldale governance, and they asked the mayor many questions. I received about 14 emails or letters in the mail, and one person, as part of their inquiries about governance, brought up the fact that they had an older dog that they wanted to take to the dog park, and it had trouble negotiating the stairs. And also anybody that's in a wheelchair wouldn't have a way of getting to the dog park as well. So thank you for the email asking about that. So that was put into the accessibility audit as well. And so as part of that request, Council approved $4,200 that will be coming from the town safety fund to hire an accessibility consultant to provide cost estimates for the 2021 accessibility audit final report. So this is the next step in making Coaldale barrier free for our residents and visitors. So that was another exciting discussion that we had last night. Then we had a report to provide an update to council regarding a previous question regarding to the possibility and potential impacts of speed limit reductions in Coaldale. So the topic of speed limit reductions has a long history of debate and discussions and data as represented by a substantial number of communities across North America that have contemplated and enacted reduced speed limits. So what we're looking at doing is in certain areas of Coaldale, reducing the speed limit from 50 to 40, and in some cases possibly from 50 to 30. So we as a council gave administration approval of the immediate next step of staff identifying key locations to collect speed data from and then summarizing data from a strategic locations chosen for this project and speed data from the traffic calming program locations and presenting a summary of findings to help inform the next steps. So we'll be doing this over the course of the next couple of months, and they'll come back to council with some recommendations, because we've had many complaints. I'll use Cottonwood Drive as one example, where because that's a nice long straight road that people aren't necessarily following the speed limit, and more so in the playground zone that is posted there. So stay tuned for more communication back regarding that. Our next item was under Departmental Reports, and we had our year-end report from Emergency Services Department. We had our Fire Chief Kevin McEwen, we had our Deputy Chief of Operations Clayton Rutberg, and we had our Manager of Community Policing Mark Anderson present on their 2021 year-end report. It was a very well done report, extremely in-depth, and I'm not even going to touch on their speaking points. I'm going to have the link in the comment section. It's a PowerPoint presentation that you'll be able to see all the statistics from all the departments. The one thing when Mark Anderson was speaking that I thought that people on the street would find interesting is that our photo radar sites that we have along Highway 3, and you'll see it sitting by McDonald's on Highway 3, also by the town office on Highway 3, and also by the Coaldale Inn on Highway 3. 75% of the people that get speeding tickets are not from Coaldale. They're just people traveling through town. So I found that to be quite interesting. And then we also had a request for a development permit extension. So on the east side of Coaldale, there's a parcel of land that is owned by Destiny Homes, a contractor here in Coaldale. And pre-COVID, he requested to, on a temporary basis, relocate his RTM production, which is ready to move homes. So they build homes on their site in Coaldale, and then they pick them up and move them to wherever the customer lives. And because of COVID, their plans were set back. So he asked for an extension of his permitting, and council approved to extend it a further 9 months to give him a chance now that the restrictions have been lifted, and hopefully we can get somewhat back to normal, that he can continue on to move his production over to that piece of property east of Coaldale, and he'll be in the highway commercial zone, so he'll have highway visibility. So basically that's it for our February 28th meeting, and I will have my contact information at the end of this video, and please, if you have any questions, give me a call. My phone number will be listed. I'll have my email listed. And then if you could also do me a big favor when you watch this video on YouTube, is to like it, to share it, and to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then we can get this messaging out to our residents in Coaldale. And again, I appreciate you doing this. And if you see me on the street, feel free to stop me and have a discussion, or let's go for a coffee. So thank you. Take care.